All right, hiking up Waipio Valley. I don't know if I can do this while I talk and walk, but there's a practice that I do when I'm doing cardio, when I'm going uphill, when I'm running, when I'm hiking. And I want to teach it to you right now, which would be more helpful if someone was with me and the camera was a good distance in front of me. But what I want to teach you are the gears, and how these gears through each part of the body, from the foot to the shin, to the thigh, to the pelvis, to the kidney area. Don't stop here. Don't stop at the kidney area, to the shoulders and to the head. All of those places have a gear. These gears I actually learned from Anusara Yoga. And I find that they are magnificently motivating and creates actually space in the labored breath cycle, which you can hear in me right now. Once you get to the loop at the kidneys, for me, I want to know what happens for you. And I do this practice when I'm doing strong uphill hiking, walking, running, because it helps me and the body to work together like a machine, which is not usually a word I usually use, but like a ninja, manufacturing the mechanics, plugging in the mechanics of the body mechanics machine, so that you have more momentum and something to focus on when you're getting your ass kicked. So are you ready? You! Fist up. Can I get a whoop, whoop, whoop? All right, let's give you the view for a second. Then we'll start with the feet. Oh my God, what? Yow! Okay. So, the loop at the feet, the gear that starts at the feet goes from the heel, underneath the foot, across the top of the foot, and then back down under the heel and into the ground. So I'm doing that right now. As I'm walking, I'm feeling this momentum of my foot gear going down under the foot, down under the heel, across the base of the foot, up and over the toes. That's the gear. That's the circular motion. I get that going. In my imagination tool, I got that gear going. There it is. Now the shins. It goes in the opposite direction. Almost all of these gears do. So the shin loop. Ooh, the sun just came out. The shin gear goes from the front of the knee, down the front of the shin, enters in the front of the ankle, goes back up the back of the calf, and then through the front of the knee. So that is the loop, the gear, that's the shin. Through the back of the knee, down the front of the shin, through the ankle joint, back up the calf, into the back of the knee. So now, there's your gear. It's going this way. The shin, and then see in your imagination the shin loop and the foot loop simultaneously. I hope you're standing up and walking while you listen to this. Oh, here comes the car. It's gonna get good now. All right, so we're going into the thigh loop. So the thigh loop starts at the pubic bone on both sides. You got one on both sides. It goes through the front of the thigh, down the back of the thigh, comes in through the front of the knee. They're going for it. In through the front of the knee and up the front of the thigh. Through the front of the thigh, back into the pelvis, down the back of the thigh, comes in through the back of the knee, and then back up the front of the thigh. All right, that's the thigh loop. It's going like this. Get it going. In your imagination tool now, you got the thigh loop, the shin loop. Again, they are all working in opposing. They work opposite forces. That's how they fit together. That's how you get your groove on. So you got 3 loops going: the foot loop, the shin loop, and the thigh loop. Now here's the difference in the equation. The thigh loop and the pelvis loop are the only 2 that go in the same direction. All the other loops go the opposite way of the one before it. This is my challenge, to teach this while I walk up the hill at YPO Valley. So here we go, the pelvis loop. Goes in from the navel. There's one on each side, all of them. Goes back around the back of your butt, in through the sitting bone area, and comes back up the front of the pelvis. In through the navel, down the back of your butt, getting strong because you're going uphill. In through the front of the sitting bone area, and back up through the front of the thigh. So here we go, map it out in your imagination tool. You got the pelvis loop, down the back of the tailbone, up the front of the pelvis. Same direction, the thigh loop, in through the front of the thighs, back from the sitting bone, down the back of the hamstring, in through the back of the knee, up through the front of the thigh. Now I got the shin loop. Remember, going in the opposite direction. In through the back of the knee, down through the front of the shin, through the center of the ankle joint, up the back of the calf. Good, and then the foot loop, going down from the heel, below the foot, under the foot, coming up across the toes, up the top of the foot. So you got 4 gears going. Use your imagination tool. Now it's gonna get really good. Now I gotta really get it going in my mind's eye and in my body. There's my foot loop. Yep. There's my shin loop. There's my thigh loop. All of those going in opposing directions. And here's the same way, thigh loop and pelvic loop. They're gears. Now here's where the game gets really good. Feeling those 4 gears. Now you're gonna get the kidney loop going. Kidney loop goes in from the navel, up the back of the kidneys, in through the bottom of the ribs, and down the front of the belly, in through the navel, up through the back of the kidneys, comes back in through the lower ribs, and down the front of the belly. Now, map out your imagination tool. All of those gears. You've got your kidney loop going up the back of the kidneys, down the front of the navel. You got your pelvis loop going down through the tailbone, looping in the front of the thighs. You got your thigh loop going. It's going the same way. Same way as the pelvic loop. Then you got your shin loop going. Woo, look at them. Holy shit. It's all happening. Shin loop. Down the front of the shins, up the back of the calves. And the foot loop. Under the heel. Under the foot. Up through the top of the foot. Across the top of the foot. All right. We got 2 more loops to go. And a little bit more hill to climb. All right. So there you have your kidney loop. The next loop is, of course, opposing, because there is only one place where the gears are the same. That's the thigh and the pelvis. So we'll go back to the kidney loop. Get that kidney loop going. Up the back of the kidneys, in through the navel, down through the front of the belly. Getting that gear going. Now the shoulder loop. Shoulder loop goes softening the back of the shoulders, down the back, coming in through the lower ribs and back up through the front of the body, rolling the shoulders open like a backpack, down the back of the body, in through the front of the ribs, up the front of the body, rolling the shoulders open. Look at that view. Yes, there's the shoulder loop. We got 1 more to go and a little bit more climb. Shoulder loop, and then the head loop. It's going this way. So head loop goes back, up the back of the head, wraps over the front of the head, in through the throat, and back up. That's the head gear. Now in your imagination tool, get all these gears going. We'll start with the head. Loop it up, map it in, goes right into the shoulder loop, goes the other direction, down the back, down the shoulders, in through the front of the navel, up the front of the body, and the kidney loop. Kidney loop goes in through the navel, up the back of the kidneys, back down through the front of the belly. Woo! Talking this out, rolling it forward. Here we go. Into the pelvis loop, down the back of the pelvis, in through the front of the thighs, up through the navel, into that pelvis loop. Thigh loop, same direction, up the front of the thighs, in through the body, down the back of the legs, in through the knees, back up the front of the thighs. And we go shin loop, into the back of the knees, down through the front of the shins, up the back of the calves. Get that shin loop going. I am sweating. And last but not least, the foot gear. Down through the back of the heels, under the foot, rolling up across the front of the foot, down through the heel. Now, visualize all those gears working together and map them out one at a time. I like to start at the feet, work my way up sequentially. Likewise, I like to start at the head and work my way down sequentially. For extra credit, you can add corresponding gears beneath the feet. Again, you're mapping it out, going the opposite direction from the gear just before it. Remember, it's just the thigh and the pelvis gear that go the same direction. Likewise, above the head, you can have an extra credit gear that goes the other direction, helping you get momentum as you're going up the hill. All right, I'm gonna take these last few moments of this hill. Woo, most of that big rock, you know, where the first sign that says, stop here, yield to upcoming traffic. Now this last part, I'm gonna really get in, I'm gonna ignore the camera and get into the gears and see if you can feel how the energy of my efforting softens. Here we go. Starting at the feet. Now the shin. That's it. Now the thigh. And the pelvis. And the kidney. Always happens at the kidney. Ease. Shoulders. And the head. And now I'm in it. I'm smiling because I can feel it working. It's easier. There's more lightness. There's more levity. I'm present. I'm in my body. I'm working as a machine. Body mechanics. Whew. Adding the gear under the foot. Oh yeah, it's like 4-wheel drive. Adding the gear above the head. I hope you enjoyed this 15 minutes to master the loops, the gears, as taught by Anusara Yoga and run through by Shannon Sahaja. Aloha from Waipio Valley. He's using his gears. First gear. I love cardio. I love working out. I love exercise as many days a week as possible. The cardio makes the brain behave in a coherent, cooperative fashion. If you've gotten a little lax in your exercise, whether it's walking, swimming, dancing, running, biking, get on it. Game on. You will feel better. I love you.